What up, internet? It's Tega, and I'm back with another review. And today we're talking about Saints Row. And I'm gonna let you know this is one of the rougher reviews since I've been back. It ain't looking too good. But I promise we're gonna get right into it. Let's go. So, for my people that doesn't know what Saints Row is, it's a third-person action-adventure game developed by Volition and published by Deep Silver. It was released August 23rd of 2022 for just about every platform minus the Switch. It's a single-player game but has a co-op element this time around, and you can buy the game in 3 different editions. So you have the standard edition, which is just the base game for $60. You have the gold edition, which includes the expansion pass plus some in-game items for about $90. And then there's the Platinum Edition. It includes everything in the Gold Edition, but with the added benefit of Saints Row the Third Remastered, and that's $100, so just $10 more than what the Gold Pass is. So now let's move on to the story. Saints Row 2022 is a complete reboot of the franchise, so none of the other games matter. It's set in a fictional Las Vegas called Santo Ileso, and is ran by 2 different gangs, the Los Panteros and the Idols. There's a third gang also called Martial Defense Industries, but that's more of a private military, so you're going to be seeing those 3 groups all throughout the story. You play as the boss, which is your own custom character, and the story picks up right when you're about to leave Martial Defense Industries and start the Saints with your new companions. So this time around you have Eli, and he's more of the planner / investor of gang operations, so the nerd archetype basically. He doesn't like physical altercations, but he'll hop in if he has to, but he's more of the entrepreneur. You have Kevin, he's the jock, he's ready for a brawl anytime, he's popular, likes to party, and he actually used to be the former DJ for the Idols. And lastly, you have Nina. So she was a former mechanic for Los Panteros, so now you have 2 people in your group that's from the gangs within the city. And the main premise of the game is to just establish the Saints. Nothing more, nothing less. You're a bunch of friends hanging around, broke, trying to make ends meet, and you all come up with the idea to start a gang and take over the city. But that's as far as the story goes. Without saying too much more about the story, I will say that the story and the characters just wasn't that memorable for me. Unfortunately, the jokes really hit and miss. Some of them were kind of funny and made me chuckle, but a lot of it was just like corny or childish. It was just lacking that, that Saints Row charm. It just really didn't land for me. There was also no real investment in the characters, in my opinion. Like, you have loyalty missions throughout the story that kind of connect you, or supposed to connect you more with those side companions, but honestly, I don't think it developed much. Most characters stayed pretty same throughout the story from beginning to end, so I don't know, I just kind of thought that some of those missions were unnecessary if there wasn't a dramatic change within those characters, no growth. So yeah, overall the story was just meh. But I'll let you see for yourself if you plan on picking up this game. So let's move over to the gameplay. If you've been living under a rock, Saints Row is a primarily open world game with certain linear sections. You can shoot, drive, fly, and now you have a wingsuit this time around. So it's not as arcadey as Saints Row 4. They kind of ditched that and went back to Saints Row the Third, kind of went back to that formula. So it feels closest to that game. You have your main missions, of course, that progresses the story. Challenges to complete for extra XP, ventures, which is side stories and activities that take over the district. You have threats that basically kills the gang presence in a particular district so they can help you take over. Side hustles, which is more side missions for XP and cash. You have discoveries, which is the collectibles within the open world, and you also have unmarked collectibles that you have to take pictures of in order for you to use as decorations for the church, which is your new hub. You have stores for purchasing clothes, weapons, and tattoos mainly, and now you have a wanted list, which is basically contracts that you can take to assassinate certain targets, and they grant you XP and cash. They brought back contacts, which lets you call companions for backup, vehicle delivery, insurance fraud, and you can even call gangs to raise your notoriety just in case you're looking for a fight. You also have skills that you unlock more as you level up. So those are abilities that you can assign to 4 different slots. You also have perks, which are the passive abilities that you can assign as you unlock them through the story and more challenges throughout the game. So overall, you can have 2 minor perks, 2 major perks, and 1 elite perk. And the level cap is 20. And I'm gonna be honest, it's really easy to get to as long as you're doing some side activities as you go. 20 is really low in my opinion. and you pretty much unlock most of the skills. Now the perks are a little bit harder because you have to do those challenges to unlock more, but the skills are really easy to get for whatever reason. I don't know why it felt so easy to me, but it just felt really quick. Now earlier I did mention ventures, and that's a big part of the story as well. And the way you buy ventures is you have to access them through the Empire table, which is located at the church on the top floor. So this is where you go to invest into more ventures, and the further you get, the more money you earn, and the more expensive these properties will be. But hopefully by this time you will have enough passive money coming through to keep buying these ventures, and main story missions grant you a lot of cash too. Also, don't forget about those side hustles. They can earn you more money as well. And the max Empire tier is 5. So as you go to the story, you can unlock certain things until you progress through certain missions. So once you do that and you build certain properties and complete the entire venture, that all goes into how you can unlock more of the ventures. But I'm gonna be completely honest, most of those ventures and collectibles really felt like chores. I couldn't, if you're a completionist, this is gonna be really hard for you to get through because you get bored, and I mean fast. Within the first couple hours of the game, I felt like I've seen everything, and once you start unlocking more adventures and side hustles, they're really all just copy and paste. So it was just a chore trying to get through it. But I wanted to play most of the game so I can have a really in-depth review, and I'm gonna tell you, the payoff is just, it's not worth it. It's not worth it at all. I do like the map overall. Santo Ileso is very colorful. You have the desert area, you have the city area. So I think overall the map is really great, but the things that they put inside of the game just doesn't match the vibe. Unfortunately, it doesn't. The biggest fun factor of this game is the customization. They did great when it came to customizing the character, weapons, vehicle. I mean, you have unlimited customization in my opinion. The only part that is lacking on the customization is with the church. So the church upgrades as you progress through the story. I mean, as you should, because you're building an empire, but the only thing you can really do is just change the decorations around the place. You can't really buy, beds or pool tables like you could do in the OG games. You can just decorate the house, but that's really no fun if you can't put all the big stuff in it, like TVs or flat screens, stuff like that. You can only just put props inside of it, and the rest of the church just build itself. Another pro of this game is the co-op. It's primarily single player, but you can ask a friend to hop in with you to go grab collectibles, do side activities, or just let chaos ensue. Everything's a lot more fun with a friend, so I'm glad that this feature was smooth. You can just drop in, drop out. I had little to no trouble hopping in other people's games or them hopping in my game. I just didn't use that feature a lot just because I wanted to finish the story, get it done, so that way I can talk about it. But yeah, the little time I did have a co-op was pretty fun, and yeah, I just wish the rest of the game felt the exact same way. So we're getting to the part that I really want to talk about, which is the technical state of the game, because I have a lot to say on that end. So let's just get straight into the technicalities. Let's start off with the main mechanic of the game, which is the shooting. It felt clunky. I had to get a tip from a friend and go into the controller settings and change the dead zones. It was so bad. I've never had to go and change the sensitivities of games that often. So it just felt really weird that the main mechanic of the game felt so outdated. It was just so weird. Same thing with the driving. It felt okay. My biggest problem with the driving is that I feel like if I drove over any small object, it just made my car bounce and like crash as if I ran into a wall. So I had to really stay close to the road when it came to those desert areas, because I feel like if it was a small rock in the road, my car would just go flying. So I just didn't get the mechanics there. I found some stuff kind of funny, like if you ran over a fire hydrant and the water gushes up from under and your car go flying, that feels like a very fun arcadey mechanic. But for every little object in the game, it just, I don't know, I just feel like more things should have been destructible, so that way it doesn't slow down the driving for you. The skills and perks were pretty fun to experiment with, but I will say that some skills later on in the game just flat out didn't work. It was a bug and they had to fix it with a couple of patches, so I think it's okay. But there were certain skills that just wasn't being utilized because they were just game breaking. So I didn't really mess around with the different skills and perks as much as I wanted to. I just wanted to stick with what worked. So yeah, hopefully they have that patch by now if you're playing, but I bought it day one and a lot of those skills are just kind of bugged, or maybe I just wasn't utilizing them the right way. Either way, it could be improved. It can be touched up. Had a lot of random game crashes. I don't know, just driving, cutscenes, finishing a mission. I've had the game crash on me multiple times and I don't know why. So it kind of like stopped my momentum. Some nights, if it crashed, I just said, forget it, I'll try again tomorrow. There was another bug to where I couldn't navigate the map. So once you blow up the mini map and try to get around and set your GPS locations, none of that stuff worked unless I backed out of it multiple times and it just decided to work when it wanted to work. Another bug is where my character held dual pistols or dual SMGs, even in cutscenes or when I didn't have a weapon equipped. He just held two guns the entire time until I restarted the game. There were several missing audio clips out of certain cutscenes, so I felt like that was pretty weird. There was also more missing or just poor sound effects, specifically with the jet that you get in the game, which is the NDI 921V. I think that's what it is. But when you take off in a jet, the assumption is that there's like a loud roar or, you know, something that makes you really feel like you're in a jet. But I feel like it just accelerated super fast without having the matching sound effects to make you really feel like you're going 200 miles per hour in a jet off takeoff. So a lot of poor sound effect decisions, I guess. It was just really poor overall. And it kind of like took me out of the immersion of the game. And then there was this game breaking bug to where all the controls were just disabled. So I can only move my character and move the camera, but I couldn't shoot, I couldn't do takedowns, I couldn't do anything unless I restarted the game overall. And that was probably the biggest game breaking glitch. And I'm not even sure if it's like totally patched out in the game, but that took me out multiple times during certain sessions. And yeah, bugs after bugs after bugs. Fortunately, I didn't run into any problems with co-op. The integration felt really smooth and easy. I don't think the game ever crashed on me while playing co-op, and you think there would be more taxing trying to control two players in the same environment, but surprisingly, I had no issues with co-op. I had some random pop-ups out of nowhere, like the enemies. I feel like as soon as, you know, you get some notoriety, enemies just spawned out of nowhere. So I just felt like that was really weird, and at times it made the enemies feel really overwhelming. Like as soon as you get a couple stars, a ton of people would just drop out of nowhere and just start shooting, just dumping on you. So it was like I didn't know where the enemies were coming from. So I don't know if that was intentional or just a game breaking bug. I just don't think some of the enemies had to be that overwhelming in certain sections of the game. It just felt really weird. It goes from 0 to 100 like real quick. But no, seriously, the enemies, it didn't really feel balanced. It just, I don't know, just weird. I can't really explain it unless you get your hands on the game so you can kind of feel that force yourself. But yeah, the pop-ups was just kind of weird for me. But with all that being said, would I recommend this game at full price? Nah, I wouldn't do that to y'all. Maybe $30, $40 is cool, so check for some Black Friday sales maybe this year, but I couldn't imagine anybody spending $60 on this game. It just launched in a poor state, and yeah, I just couldn't recommend it to anybody. There's an expansion coming out later on, maybe next year, that you have to pay extra for, but I would say just give the base game a try if you want to and then decide on the expansion pass, but I just don't think it's worth it right now. As far as my pros, it is turn your brain off fun, so if you get home after a long day just want to shoot some shit up, by all means hop on. The customization is great. Co-op is fun if you got a friend that likes the game. You have over-the-top weapons and skills, very flashy, just like all the rest of the Saints Row games. The licensed music is fire, so definitely hop on that radio. I like most of the radio stations in this game, and Saints Row's always been pretty good with that, so yeah, just tune in. I won't spoil anything for you, but they got a nice mixture of new school and old school tracks that you will like, especially for the hip-hop heads. But the cons is just too much. So the story and the characters are not memorable. The game is really buggy and it's being fixed with patches along the way, so some stuff may be cleared up that I've stated in this video now if you're watching it, but it's still way too many bugs. It honestly needed another year in the oven. Way too many bugs. Side quests are very copy and paste, rinse and repeat, so that got boring really quickly, and sometimes you need to complete them so you can get extra cash and XP to level up, and I just feel like it was just there to fluff the game. Honestly, it didn't really need that many side activities. Yeah, I would skip most of that stuff if you can, if you just want to rush through the story, but those side hustles get really boring. And even some of the ventures, honestly, I'm happy that insurance fraud came back. That was still kind of fun, but that alone is not going to hold up the game. You got a couple other classic ventures that, you know, made a return, but you only get a handful of those, and that's it. You do have side hustles that you can repeat, but those are the copy and paste ones. You can go back and clear out other objectives within that mission if you want extra XP, but it's not really worth it because the level cap is 20, and I feel like you shouldn't have a problem getting to that. So it leaves a lot of that stuff just unfinished for no reason, just fluff. So unfortunately, I wish Saints Row launched in a better state, but this is probably the worst entry since Ages of Mayhem. And I'm just being real. So yeah, I appreciate y'all for stopping by. You know, like, comment, subscribe, share, man. Y'all know how the internet works. I ain't gotta tell y'all. And yeah, I'll see y'all on the next video. Hopefully it's better than this one. We out.